It's got like passwords and stuff. Like if somebody needed to find like my safe deposit box keys in there, you know.
What's in there?
A letter to my children.
Safe deposit box. I don't even have one of those.
Well, I'm feeling really advanced in the adult department.
Yeah, that's great.
In the safe deposit box?
Yeah.
I mean, I have like my social security cards, birth certificates.
Okay.
Like I don't keep any of that stuff at home.
Yeah.
I need to go take the title to my car. It's been waiting to go to the safe deposit box. I don't know.
Yeah.
Stuff.
Yeah.
It's not like I've got guns and cash in there.
Right.
You know, like when you're on the movies and they go there.
I'll have to send you a picture of the one Tanner got this week.
Oh gosh.
Crazy.
Oh my word. It's not my passport is in there, but you know, on the movies they always go to their safe deposit box and there's all this like
No, that's Tanner's life every day.
that's where they have all like their secret identity and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Are you prepared for this? I
Yeah,
need
I'm
to
ready.
get out the actual CMA that I prepared, but okay. We can start though.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yep.
Your clients need data. They don't need flashy reports with
No.
fancy photos.
Code or area.
I make a Polygon.
Me too.
Because
I love the Polygon.
The Polygon is necessary, and y'all are like, what the
What's
fuck is
the
that?
Polygon? And they have the new gazebo. And they have the new
And
generator.
you're like, this doesn't change anything. WTF is an accurate CMA in this market.
We don't know. Hi, y'all. Welcome to Hustle Humbly. It's Alyssa and Katie, and we are two top producing realtors in the Baton Rouge market.
We work for two different companies where we should be competitors, but we have chosen community over competition.
The goal of our podcast is to encourage you to find your own way in business.
So stop comparing yourself and start embracing your strengths. Hi, Alyssa.
Hey, Katie.
It's episode number 97.
Okie dokie.
We're going to get really technical today.
They like these technical how-to episodes.
The people really like the technical how-to episodes. So this is how to complete a CMA for offers and listings.
Perfect.
Because you got to do it for both.
Yeah.
You got to do it for both.
Sure.
Do you want to tell the people what CMA stands for? I mean, most people know. And sometimes I switch it up in my brain.
I know. It's comparative market analysis.
That's what I would say.
Or competitive market analysis.
I'd say comparative.
Me too.
I think that there's probably...
It's supposed to be comparative because you're comparing.
That's why you say the word comps.
comps.
You know, everyone who's ever been a realtor.
What are the comps?
What are the comps?
The comparables.
Tell me about the comps. I'm going to have to look up the comps.
Right.
I love real estate jargon makes me laugh.
Yeah.
And jargon in any like field makes me laugh because you're just used to it. So sometimes I'm like, oh, like I go to send a client a CMA. I can't just call it a CMA.
No.
That's weird. But
A
you know
market
what?
analysis.
I call it, or a market report.
Yeah.
I'll say, here's the market report.
Yes.
I'm not going to call it, please, y'all, don't say CMA to your clients.
No,
It's
they don't
weird.
know what that means.
They don't know what that means. All right. So how do you want to start it?
Well, Katie,
What do you want to say?
just to jump right in,
Please.
Katie sent me a property.
Yeah, let's do
and
that.
I sent Katie a property.
Yes.
Both properties
Were difficult.
were difficult, and they were in areas that do not have good data.
Uh-huh.
They're not in like a cookie cutter subdivision.
Mhm.
They have workshops, they have pools, they have guest houses.
Yeah.
So
we swung for the fences when we were like, I think both of us just wanted to know the other one's opinion.
yes,
And I will tell you, when you're doing a market report and you have a tricky property, please don't hesitate to reach out to your broker,
Yes.
another agent, get
Mhm.
several opinions, an appraiser.
yes,
Y'all, you don't have to know the answers because there is no, just like when you tell your clients, there's no answer.
right.
I don't know for sure if this is the answer.
Mhm.
The market is going to then tell us. This is what I do tell my clients, though. Once we've picked the number, I'll say, look, the market's going to tell us if this price is wrong.
Mhm.
If it's too high, no one's going to come see it. If it's too low, you're going to have a whole bunch of offers on the first day.
But then it may not be too low. It might be overpriced, and the market's just crazy, and you get multiple offers on it.
You just never know.
If it's a really strange house,
Yeah.
and there are no comps,
Yeah.
I tell my buyer, look, it may be worth it to get an appraisal
yeah.
so that we can tell buyers that we have this appraisal.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't like the appraisal number and you want to list 20,000, 30,000 higher than the appraisal, we don't have to share the appraisal.
Yeah, you just keep it.
We
Because we all know every appraiser is going to come and have a different number.
You could have 5 appraisals and they would all be
five
different.
numbers, 5 different numbers.
So, you know, you do your best to just price it based off of what you know, but sometimes if it's just such a wide, if I can't get it down to a tight range,
What would you say is a
I
tight
suggest
range?
within
10 to 30,000?
Yes.
That's what I feel is a tight range.
Yeah, I feel like anything, but I think my dad even said at one point that appraisals can be like plus or minus a percentage,
Okay.
like 10% or something.
Right.
And that's why you could have 5 appraisals and they could all be different.
And if you feel like, and look, to be fair, the 2 properties that we chose were kind of rangy.
Yes.
Like that, to the point where I think I would have been like, maybe I might want to talk to an appraiser.
Right.
Or I definitely wanted to ask a few people's opinions.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go through one of them.
And we did them separately.
Yep, separate
and
of
came
each
up
other.
with our own numbers.
We sure
so
did.
we shall see.
Okay, tell the people about your property, and I'll tell them what my problems were when I went to comp it.
Okay, so I sent Katie a property that is not technically in a subdivision. It's on a prestigious road, but a busy road.
Right.
So I always got confused why it was so prestigious.
And sections of the road seem more prestigious than others.
And then it does have a pool, but the pool is really old and small. It does have a guest house, but it could use some repairs. The inside is going to be really nice. It's going to have refinished hardwood. The house is like 75 years old. It'll have refinished hardwood floors, a nice kitchen, a nice bathroom, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,700 square feet.
Oh, yes.
How much?
1898.
1898. So 1,900 square
1,900
feet.
square feet.
With a small pool with a guest house.
Mhm.
Not a lot of grass.
That's correct.
Okay. So what
Almost-
was your process? Like, what was the first thing you did?
Okay, I'm going to try to keep this tight. I first checked what neighborhood it was in.
Okay.
Because it was technically in a neighborhood.
Yes.
Even though it's on this busier road. You know, like when a neighborhood's close to a busy road and then like some of the houses are facing the road. So I figured out what neighborhood it was in. I went to see if there were any houses that had sold in the last 6 months in that neighborhood that were that same size. There were not.
Okay.
So
Right.
I was like, wow, delightful.
Okay, nothing. Step 2.
So then I'm like, well, okay, I'm going to weigh the size and type of property a little more heavily at this point because I got to go out of the neighborhood, right? So, okay, 1898, I'm going to look, I think I went down, I'm going to look at my CMA here. The lowest I went down to like was 1,750 square feet. And then I went up to like 2,100. Okay.
Yeah, that's
2,150.
about right.
So that's the a bracket.
Sure.
Got to get a bracket, right? And then I thought about, and I did try to keep it all 3 bedrooms, but I will tell you, I feel like from the questions that we got, don't get overly focused on that. You can adjust up and down for a 4-bedroom versus a 3-bedroom versus a 2-bedroom. Now, do I think the buyer is the same for a 2-bedroom and a 3-bedroom? No.
Right.
But there's an adjustment that can be made there. If you're talking about a neighborhood that's all 3 bedrooms and you happen to find the 1 2-bedroom, you better be using comps from within the neighborhood.
Sure.
If houses have sold there, that's where you got to start.
Yep.
So I got some 3-bedrooms, similar, like bracketed the size, and then I started going outside of the neighborhood, right? Now, I know the city.
Yes.
That's the bonus of being a realtor that studies the market, which is what you should all be doing, whether you're on day 1 on the job or day 10 years on the job. You should know the area, right?
Right. So did you increase your search in MLS by doing like zip code or area?
I make a Polygon.
Me too.
Because
I love the Polygon.
The Polygon is necessary. And y'all are like, what the fuck
What's
is
the Polygon?
that? Okay, on Paragon, the MLS system we are using, to be fair, y'all, Alyssa and I have never talked to each other about how we do CMA,
No,
so this is
never.
really entertaining. The Polygon feature basically is I can pull up the map, pick a point, so I picked this house, right? And then I can draw with the mouse lines that look like a crazy polygon,
Yeah,
right?
I feel like I zoom out
Yes.
to see the big major
Yes.
streets.
So do not. You are going to waste a bunch of time if you pick the house
Mhm.
and then do a 1-mile radius.
Oh yeah, no.
No, unless you're like out in the country or
Right.
something. I just don't know. Like inside of an urban area where there's a lot of different neighborhoods that are a lot of different types of houses, that doesn't make sense. So I I zoomed out on the map. I said, okay, I know that this house is in an area where there are other houses like it, but it's an older part of town. So there are like 10 different neighborhoods that are named different neighborhoods. It's not an obvious, like, new construction. You're in, this is the neighborhood, you're out. This is like the neighborhood one street to the next is a different dang neighborhood.
Yes.
Okay. So I drew my polygon using typically large arteries as borders. Okay.
Right. Like
so like
streets, highways.
Exactly. So this was pretty close to LSU. I kind of went near the lake and I took in South Downs and I pulled in some areas that made sense to me. Okay. It still wasn't easy because I feel like the particular part of the road where this house was is a little bit busier and I even called her and said, how close is this house to the road? Yeah. Like if it's set further back, maybe I'm okay with using some comps on the higher end, blah, blah, blah. Y'all, just to be transparent, I had 3 active properties I pulled, 6 sold, and 4 pending sales.
Okay.
I don't want to comp something with less than 1 other active.
Sure.
I don't need a ton of active.
That's like your guinea pig.
I just need to know.
How are things going?
I would like to have 1 to 3 pending, and I got to have at least 3 sold.
Yes. Okay.
So, I mean, and your dad's, so I can't wait to hear your process because your dad being an appraiser, you come from a long line of appraisers. That's like in you. So you got to have enough. This one, I felt like I had enough and I was trying to really get a variety. So my sold properties ranged from 175 a square foot all the way up to 210. The average was 201 a square foot. Okay. Did I just go use the average? No, then I start clicking on photos. How do the photos of these sold properties compare to this? And I don't click on the photos as much of the actives. I'm just trying to see where are we going to fall when I price it according to the market.
Yep.
Now the pendings and the sold, I want to know what they look like.
Yes.
How long did the pendings stay on the market? Typically, you guys, if you look at the actives, you'll see the ones that are still active have maybe been on the market longer because nobody wants them. Pendings, I look at the days on the market. Solds, I look at the days on the market were all really good, actually.
Yeah.
But the house has no grass in the backyard. Yeah, no. It's got this weird pool. It's got this weird pool house. It's in the middle of some renovations, but it's not going to be like brand new.
No.
So I came up with a range. It was kind of large. I felt like this is an extra. I felt like it was $350, and then the tip top would be $399. And it could sell anywhere from $299 to $399. It was a huge range because when I started looking at the other houses, they all had things that it did not. And it was just kind of hard.
And so we will be listing this property for $400,000.
Oh, okay. When we talked last,
we are at the top of your range. And it's funny because actually, we might be listing it for $415.
I think you said $415 last time. And I kind of laughed because you said, well, I asked, Alyssa had asked her client.
When I ran comps, my range was as big as Katie's.
Yeah.
And I asked the client, I said, I'm going to be honest with you.
It's a little much.
It's a big range.
Right.
It's a unique property. What are you hoping for financially?
Right.
Because I need to check that number.
Yeah.
And see if I can justify that number.
Yeah.
She said we would love to get close to 400 out of it.
Yeah.
So I went back to the drawing board to check and see. And there were like some comps that could because it's so unique, maybe there's someone out there that wants a pool and this is their price range and they want this location, but some of this stuff I didn't have data to support.
Yeah.
But I just think because of this market and there's nothing like it.
Well, what's nice about a giant range? Hopefully an appraiser has as much trouble and so they can err to high as opposed, but you get a conservative appraiser, they could just as easily err on the low end.
Yep.
You could end up with a $299,000 appraisal.
You could.
Regardless of if you got a buyer for $415.
Right.
But I think what was funny to me was that when I asked you what you would have priced it was closer to what I had said.
I think I had said like $375.
Yeah. And I would have said that's fair. I would have expected it to sell for $350. You could price it somewhere between $350 and $380s. And that would make sense. $415 is pushing it, but in this market,
I even tell my clients with the way the market is right now, whatever number I come up with based on the comps,
Yeah.
I'm adding about 10 to 15 to it.
Yeah, so you have to know your market
Yes.
and know what's selling and know that like that is a hot area.
And I looked at those days on market and
Yeah.
I'm like, well, we don't have to sell in 5 days.
Right.
Like maybe I could
Now,
add.
Okay, we're not going to stay on this a long time, but do you give them some like, look, after 2 weeks, if nobody
Yes.
comes to see
Yes.
this, we're going to make a drastic price change?
Yes.
Because we've done wrong.
Right.
That's what I tell my clients. I'm like, if no one comes to see it in this hot market,
Mm-hmm.
your price is wrong.
Correct.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Do you want to do, I'm going to tell them about mine and then you
Yes.
can tell me what you did.
Perfect.
Okay. So mine is in a suburb, so outside of the Baton Rouge proper area. It's in Denham Springs. It's in a very good school district, so a very popular school district. The elementary and the junior high are like walkable. Like you can get to them from the house easy. 2165 square feet, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, plus an office. It's a good size office. Like it could really be a bedroom, but it doesn't have a closet. Front porch across the whole front, 1.5 acres, not in a neighborhood, but backing up to a nice looking neighborhood. Didn't flood. Oh, and y'all don't know this, but we have to also think about the flooding because in 2016 we had a really terrible flood. So this property did not flood, but it does require flood insurance, which can, I would say, impact the value.
Yeah.
Depending on the flood insurance. Rear carport, large heated and cooled storage room, built out. Mother-in-law was off of the carport. There's currently a bathroom in there. Look, this was very bad. It's gutted, but it's stubbed out. It had termite damage. It's been repaired. It's having some renovations done. Like, y'all, there was a lot.
And I have never seen this house.
I never saw yours either.
And yeah, neither of us have seen either of these. So we are just using the data and tools that we have.
Yes. No fence. House has nice built-ins, brick fireplace, wood mantel, cathedral ceiling and living room. And the reno was going to include new exterior and interior paint, new roof, updated lighting inside, new granite counter in the kitchen, luxury vinyl in the main area, and new carpet in the bedrooms. Okay.
Step one.
Here's the other thing. Just like Alyssa didn't go into this one, I didn't go into hers. And that's important for you to tell your seller clients before you can quote them a price.
Mm-hmm.
I can do this with information if they give me enough, but I never say, we're going to list it for $15.
No.
Because I need to see. Yeah. They might say it's clean and well-maintained, and it is not. Or they might not say anything, and you have no clue until you go there. Or maybe they were like, there's carpet in the bedrooms, but they didn't mention it was purple.
Sure.
Okay, go.
First thing I did, and I don't sell in this area, so I feel like I was really going in blind.
Good, okay, I like that.
I did a search by the area first. Well, first I looked up the address and it had never been listed. Because I always like to look up the address to see the history of the house.
That was the first thing I did for yours. Alyssa's had been listed before, and y'all, the last time it sold, the pool photo was green.
It's not green anymore.
It was green.
It's an old pool. So I did an area search and there were 11 houses. And I was like, oh, good. But then when I looked at the CMA summary, all of them were in a cookie cutter subdivision. Yeah. So none of them worked. There was not enough data. So instead, and the Polygon failed me. Yeah. In this particular one.
You probably have to do zip code.
I did. So after area failed me, I did zip code.
Okay.
And I got 31 options.
Okay.
So I was looking at the CMA summary. I call it the CMA summary.
That's the only one I use.
That's the only one I use.
Let's tell them that really quick.
Yeah.
In our MLS
snapshot.
In our MLS system, there are probably 15 different types of CMA reports. Yes. The way the report actually looks. You and I both choose the CMA summary, y'all, which is a single sheet of paper. I'm going to show you two. It's black and white. It is
no photos.
Like, it's not fancy. You can see pretty much all the data you need on 2 pages.
It has, price per square foot, days on market, number of bedrooms, and you can change what the fields are.
Yeah. So if it's a house with a pool, I'll add the field for pool. If it's a house where the builders are all different in a neighborhood, but they sell at different prices, I'll add the builder field. Like, you can change out the different fields.
Right.
And I want to state here, please do not get caught up in the way that your CMA report looks.
It doesn't matter
your
at all.
Clients need data. They don't need flashy reports with fancy photos. It's more time consuming for you.
Right.
And you could have better spent that time by looking at the photos of each of these properties and really giving it thorough thoughts, right?
Right.
Okay, go.
Hello, friends. We are so excited that so many of you are using the template course, and the reviews are just pouring in, letting us know that it has helped your business as much as it has helped our business.
Yes, listen to this review. Thank you so much for providing this wealth of information, knowledge, in template form. So far, I've used a handful and received positive feedback like, "This is so professional," or "I really appreciate how organized you are." I mean, can you imagine?
Yeah,
your clients are actually going to say that.
Yes.
All right, here's another one. Thank you so much for this. I can't tell you how many times I've started this and how many notebooks of samples and notes I had. I have ADHD and it is super hard to stay focused on getting it done. Having it all in one place is going to make it so nice.
That is what we're here for.
I know. Just look, you don't need to reinvent the wheel. Just use these.
Yeah, nice and simple, easy, ready to go, ready for you to put your own logo on, make it sound like you. So head over to hustlehumblypodcast.com/course and check it out.
That's right.
And you're going to enjoy them. You're going to love them. It's going to change your life.
Literally fired my assistant. They are the best. Okay,
enjoy the template.
Yes, enjoy.
So now I have a basically Excel spreadsheet of 31 houses.
Okay.
And these were, I had eliminated the ones that were in cookie cutter subdivisions by lot size.
Okay.
Because how big was your lot?
1.5 acres.
Yes. So I think I had done nothing under half an acre.
Oh, that makes sense to me.
So that's how I got 31 when I expanded to the zip code.
Okay.
So now I just viewed the summary to just see where we started.
Right.
And I unchecked the ones that were new construction.
Fair.
Because they were super high.
Yep.
And I unchecked the ones that were flooded and gutted because they were super low.
Okay.
And then I clicked refresh to just have the ones I selected, and it was perfect. So anytime my average and median price per square foot are close, I know that I'm in a good place.
Okay.
In this situation, when I hit refresh, it was an average of $127 to $129 a square foot.
Okay.
So I was like, sweet. At least it wasn't like $115 to $130 a square foot.
Right.
So I know I'm on the right track. So now it's time to look a little bit closer. That's based off of just a house that sits on at least 0.5 acres.
Right.
So that would put this house between 275 and 280.
Okay.
But now we need to look a little bit closer. So I scrolled through to see which ones have a workshop.
Okay.
Because I've priced the house. Now, how much value am I giving like this workshop and the guest house and things like that? Ironically enough, there were 3 houses after looking through.
You were like, you don't say.
You don't say. 2 of them were on 1.1 and 1.7 acres. So I was like, that's good.
Yep.
One of them was on 0.5 acres, but it was a little bit more updated of a house. So one of them, I broke it down, had a workshop, no fence. This was the most comparable house.
Do you find that you try to zero in on the house that's most similar?
Yeah.
I do too.
And it kind of just happens as I'm making my notes. I'm like, well, this one is the most.
Yeah.
It sold for $140 a square foot.
Okay.
That would put this house around $303.
Okay.
Sales price $303.
Okay.
And y'all, I use price per square foot as a guide. It's not like
to the penny.
No. It's just a good guide.
Right.
And when your numbers are all coming in a similar price per square foot, it lets you know that seems to be what's happening.
Right.
House number 2 had a separate workshop area plus a separate storage area. And it sold for $143 a square foot.
Okay.
Which would put this house at $309.
Okay.
So we have $303 and $309.
Okay.
These are good ranges. The last house that I found had a climate-controlled storage unit on the property. It was on half an acre, so less acreage, but then I think it made up for it as more updated, and it sold for $142 a square foot, which would put this house at $308. So now I have ran comps, compared it to these 3 sales, and I have 303, 309, 308.
Okay.
So I would suggest a list price in this market of somewhere between 315 to 319.
Yeah.
List price.
Yeah.
Probably selling somewhere around 310.
So
that concludes my market analysis.
I'm so proud. You did a great job. The funniest thing was when we went to record this episode the first time, we ran out of time. I don't know what happened. So, but we needed to talk about these listings. So Alyssa and I had this chat already. But when she said, okay, so it looks like it's worth 310. I said, oh, okay, we were going to list it for 315. And she said, yes, I would list it for 315. And I'm like, perfect. So y'all, a house that was not like the others in an area that was more rural, we literally came up with the exact same list price. Exact.
And I think it's really good that we did 2 separate ones.
Yeah.
Because one, we had like a $50,000 difference.
Yeah.
And one, we were within $5,000 of each other.
Yeah.
After doing the same.
And I think we had we had the equivalent problems on both. Like, so I know you guys, it feels like there's an answer and I don't know how to do it. Sometimes there's just not an answer.
Right.
Sometimes you've got to sometimes you have to have some intuition about the market. You have to feel the market. You have to be, and this is why I think it's important to represent buyers and sellers, because spending time with buyers in the area that you're also spending time with sellers will help you get a feel for the market. So you can get that from looking at the data too. Like, how long did it take to sell? What houses seem to be selling in that area and what price range sells more commonly. So those were our samples.
I like that. That was fun.
It was super fun. And it's fun, you guys. And I used to do this in my old office with another agent all the time. Hey, will you comp this house for me? Because I just want to see if we're close. Because pricing a house is a little scary.
I had a house recently that I literally had like anxiety about.
Yes, it can be scary.
I did, this is people's money.
Yeah.
So I ran comps and I thought that we should list at 325.
Okay.
They were tickled to death. They were
they're
like,
yes.
Great, wonderful. Until they talked to the neighbors.
Oh, God.
And then the neighbors were like, well, you should definitely be asking more. The market is so blah, blah, blah.
No, because the neighbors care about their value.
Right.
I hate that.
And when I had the conversation with the husband about what the neighbor said, it kind of made me feel, this is me just being emotional. It made me feel like they didn't trust me and that they felt like I had underpriced their home.
Here's the problem. This happens all the time.
I know.
The neighbors are friends with your seller.
Yes.
More so than you are.
Yes.
And the neighbors are either likely, if they're talking, sad that they're moving.
Yes.
Okay. And the neighbors feel invested in the value of their home because it obviously directly impacts their home.
Yes.
It is hard for sellers to understand that because they think that the neighbor comes and says, oh, well, that's too low. You need to get more in this crazy market, blah, blah, blah. The neighbor thinks, oh, well, they must know something I don't know, or that Alyssa doesn't know, or they're obviously familiar. They live here.
Sure.
I feel like it's almost a talk you have to have, and I don't, and this is good that we're talking about it. It's almost a talk you have to have with your sellers. Hey, your neighbors may or may not like the price that you set the house. We're doing what the data speaks to the data. And I'm happy to provide you extra copies of this market report
if you want to
give your neighbor. Like, you can't just pick a different price because your neighbor made you feel bad.
Right. And so it's kind of funny because I'm at it full circle now. And here's how it played out.
Okay, let's hear it.
So I emailed them 325. He said, great. That sounds good.
He was happy.
Then I get a phone call.
He's like, not happy.
Not happy. Neighbor thinks this. The market is so crazy right now that we should go for higher. And I'm like, okay, well, what do you think? Since my
expert opinion was not good.
We want to list at 349.
Oh,
and I was like,
no.
okay, 20,000, 25,000 more than what I thought was pushing it.
Yes.
What I thought was pushing it. Okay.
Yeah.
So we did.
At 349.
Yes. And we got 4 offers over list price.
Oh my God.
And I called my broker and I said, I feel like I did a disservice. I feel like I'm questioning everything I know.
I don't know what I'm doing.
I'm bad at this. I should quit real estate. I even told my
word,
sellers that I was like, look, guys, I feel like because they're excited. They're not being ugly.
No, right.
Obviously, they're
But you're
excited.
like, I failed.
I said, I just wanted to let you know that I feel like I underpriced your property and I'm feeling a little self-conscious about it. And I hope that you aren't. And they were like, no, we're not upset with you at all. This market is crazy, blah, blah, blah. I said, I can be conservative at times. And what this market is doing right now is not what has always done.
Right. It's hard to get used to that.
It's hard to get used to this. Yeah. So we were
Also, it doesn't happen in every neighborhood on every house.
No. And this house had flooded. And I mean, there was just so many things.
You were like, oh.
So I'm happy for them. But I am just really having a kick in the pants of like, what was I thinking?
What's going wrong?
And what's wrong with me?
It's not you.
So,
but look, something allowed you to do the 349.
Yes.
So maybe your gut intuition really was, okay, well, they pushed and I'm going to do it, because I don't believe that you would be walked all over.
No, I mean, I have my limits. Like if they would have said like 380, I would have
like,
said
no.
Absolutely no. Like we can't do that.
Right.
But he was also very like stern and adamant that like we want to try this. And I said, that's fine. If after 2 weeks there's no activity, we will reduce.
That's okay.
Well, after a day, when we have 5 offers over asking, and I was like, okay.
It's happened to me before too.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, I think this is the hot, because y'all, also when you're doing CMAs for listings, you have to have a philosophy. You need to be able to verbalize that to your seller and tell them why. So sorry, go ahead. No, well, I am an aggressive pricer. I do not want them to leave money on the table. At the same time, so I'm going to always go to the high end of the comps. At the same time, I'm not going to just tell them whatever they want to hear. Like, I'm like, this is the number. And that's happened to me before where I'm like, this is the number. I'm pretty stern on this. Yeah. And they pushed me. And got it sold over list. So,
well, I thought my 325 was like
the number,
the aggressive number.
I know.
Okay. So we're getting through, inspections or whatever. Then I get a call from the lender that says, hey, it didn't appraise.
What did it appraise for?
So it was a VA appraisal.
Oh,
this is the first time I've ever had this happen. He said it didn't appraise because of the Clear Tidewater Act. Clear Tidewater Act.
Okay, I feel like I may have heard this once before.
You have to fill out this form and fight for the value. And you don't get to know what it appraised for. But you will get to know after you have disputed it. So I opened this form, and may I tell you, it was quite dumb. It asked questions like, does the house have central HVAC? I'm like, they all do. This does not matter. Ask me about the cypress beams and the thick wood floor.
Oh, my word.
Now, at the end, they had like comments, a small little block.
And you had to try and fit it all in?
Yes. And I'm like, and I had already given him, when the appraiser came, he had copies of all the offers.
Yeah.
Saw that they were all over list price. He also had my seller's list of updates that they have done and, ages of the roof and everything that you would need. He had all of his ammunition.
Yeah.
My initial gut was like, oh my gosh, how did it not appraise? I already told him that we had all these offers and I gave him the upgrade list.
Right.
And I sat down to do this form and was brought back to where I was.
Which was in the beginning, numbers don't support.
Which was that I have no ammunition. But I fought. I did basically a CMA for the appraiser. In the comment section, I was like, and they have the new gazebo, and they have the new generator.
And you're like, this doesn't change anything.
I'm doing everything I can to get the value up from a number I don't even know
X number
what the initial number was.
I am dying here. Get to it.
I know. So it got submitted for review. I'm updating my sellers,
Okay.
And the lender comes back 2 days later and says, after reviewing your market analysis, the appraiser has increased the price and the appraised value is $330.
So it was less than $330.
Yeah.
This is a whole nother question, but were the other offers, they weren't all VA.
No, but there were terms like that were in there
that didn't
support
what they wanted.
Yeah, I don't think we had any, because this was in a rural area. We had a lot of RD, you know, it just, there wasn't like a 20% conventional buyer out there.
Perfect. Got it.
There was no.
Okay, so how did your seller handle this news?
So I called them.
Did you also feel like semi-vindicated?
I felt validated, but sad to make the phone call.
Totally sad.
But also like, I'm not bad at this.
And further, annoyed with the process.
With the process. It's broken.
Yes. If 4 people want to buy it for over list, they should be able to buy it.
100%.
So that is annoying, and we're not even going to talk about that.
It made me sad.
Okay, but you call the seller.
I call my seller. I'm like, y'all, it didn't appraise. This is the appraised value after the dispute. This is as high as we can get it. It's a VA. We can't get a second appraisal. No. It just is what it is.
Yeah.
And they had the initial reaction that I did. Oh my gosh, we had all these offers over list price. Did they see our amenities sheet? What about this? What about that? And then after I said, I know, but this is where we are. And we can risk going to the backup offer and getting a second appraisal. And maybe it comes in higher and maybe it comes in lower. We're going to have to get through another home inspection. This is where we are. I need y'all to sleep on this tonight. And it's sad. You're not getting the money you thought. You're not getting $25,000.
No.
They called me the next morning and were like, okay, Alyssa, we slept on it. And honestly, when you told us that we would list for $325,
they were happy.
We were giddy. Like, great. So, yes, we're disappointed that we're not going to get as much as we thought, but we are getting more than we had hoped for. Mm-hmm. So what we did was, there was no closing costs to take away. There was none of that. So what we did was we went back to the buyer and I said, the buyers, by the way, are devastated.
Because they want to buy it.
They want the house so bad. They don't have the cash to pay $25,000. They're waiting to hear from us on what we're going to do. And I said, because we have such a big gap, you tell us, go look at your savings. What is the most that you can pay over appraisal?
Yeah.
And we will decide based on your number if we are going to move forward with you.
Okay.
So the next morning she called me, the poor buyer's agent. She was like, the most they can do is $336.
Okay.
They can pay $6,000 over appraised value and that's all they have. And they are just sick to their stomach. Because that's all they can do. And they love the house. And we're at the end at this point.
Yeah.
So I called my sellers. My seller said, okay,
we'll
move forward. We don't want to get through another inspection. We don't want to get through another appraisal. I called the buyer's agent, tears. She's just like, she said when she called them and told them that she wrote me. And then the next day she was like, I can't stop thinking about this.
Oh my God. They were so happy.
Thank you. Like they are just, what your sellers have done is, it all worked out.
It worked out.
But
336.
It just goes to show the ranges out there. There is no magic number. And I told my sellers when they want to list higher than I can support, I say, I'm just letting you know.
Yep.
If a buyer's agent says, can you share some comps with me that helped you get to this number? I have to tell them, I don't really have any.
Right. What am I going to do?
I don't have any data.
What am I going to do?
If you would like to get an appraisal so I can share it with them.
Yeah.
But at this time, at this price, I have no data.
No.
And that is when I don't usually suggest a pre-appraisal, but if there is conflict or you're not sure, I do think it is worth suggesting getting one with a unique property especially.
Agree. Okay, can we do some rapid fire questions?
Yeah.
Okay, great. This market seems to have no cap. I used to err conservative. How do I reconcile that? That's kind of what you just said.
That's me right now.
That's you. You just keep looking at the data, right?
Yeah, and I do take days on market into consideration more now because I'm like, wow, this house really pushed it. And they were only on the market 3 days. We're okay if we don't sell in 3 days. Maybe it takes us 2 weeks.
Right.
To hold out to get a little bit more.
Yeah. Okay.
So if the days on market are low also, then push it a little higher.
Okay. Love it. Which criteria and in what order is most important for comps?
I always start with location, the area search or the Polygon or the zip code.
Then
go from size,
then age, then bedrooms, then extra, like,
extra stuff at that point.
Right.
Like
if there's
workshop,
too many, right. If there's too many and you've got a pool, then get the pools.
Yeah.
If there's not enough, then
I always start with like the house.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I broke down yours.
Yes.
I just did the house. And then I was like, okay, now that I have the house at about
see what
$285, what would a workshop be?
I would like to point out, this isn't a quick necessarily process.
No.
I've gotten it into, I can probably in 30 minutes do just about anything, but it's not going to be like it's just so obvious. Sure. Okay. Are you using year over year appreciation numbers to adjust for older comps? Like I tried to comp, right now, I tried to comp something the other day and I was like, well, wait a minute. No house had sold in this pretty large neighborhood in 6 months. Not a single house. Not just that it wasn't like the listing I was going to see. There were none. So now I'm seeing what people are saying. When inventory is so tight and maybe there are no comps in the last 6 months, what do you do? Do you go back further and then give it some appreciation percentage? Or this might be, then you got to get an appraiser involved. Like, where are you going to pull comps? Or you go, they're not typically going outside of 6 months.
Sure.
Okay.
But they can.
Okay. What tricks are we using to make adjustments with lack of inventory? Same question.
I'm just adding. Like, I'm using the data I have, pushing it, picking a number, and adding a little bit to it.
Okay, y'all. And when I do a CMA, I go 6 months back. And if that doesn't work and I've done all the other stuff and it didn't help, I mean, I'm not going way outside of the mile. No. So if I go 6 months, then I'll go 9 months, and then I'll go 12 months. Yeah. Just so I can figure out what has happened. Like, I need to have some history, right? Okay. How do you present your price range at listing appointments?
I think we kind of have talked about that just in the conversations we have. And I tell them there's no magic number. This is my range based on the facts. If you disagree, maybe an appraisal is a good idea.
I give the range, and I also say, I'm giving you this number at the high end of the range because that's my philosophy. Okay. And
I like that.
This is why I'm doing it. So I'm giving you the high end, and then I'm going to give you like maybe some numbers. I usually, depending on the neighborhood and what the comps said on that market report, maybe then I go 3% to negotiate by closing cost or price.
Right.
If it's a market that's so hot, then I don't need the 3% to negotiate.
Gotcha.
Okay. This is what we already talked about. Do you present your CMAs in a fancy way?
No.
The MLS printout is a little blob.
Did we share the blob printout? Did we share the template for a market analysis? Yes, we did in the templates course.
Yes.
There is a template for, I would like to share an updated market analysis with you. And I attached the CMA summary to that.
It's the summary, y'all. They just need information.
They just want it easy to read.
Yeah.
I can't even read like an appraisal well.
No, I hate reading an appraisal.
I never can find what I need. It's complicated.
And that's what the deal is. The appraisals are set up just like those fancy those fancy CMAs.
Yeah.
It's hard to read. People need the data clearly and quickly. They're not even trained to read appraisals. That stuff's hard to read.
It is.
All right. What if a house is really unique and no good comps? We've talked about this.
Get an appraisal.
Both of ours were very unique, and we figured it out.
Try to give them a range and say, if you're not happy with this range, then we need to get an appraisal because this is the best I could do on this unique home.
Exactly. And you got to tell your seller, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
The appraiser might not even be sure.
Right.
Okay. How much weight do you give to updates and finishes?
Depends on the comps, as my dad would say.
And I would say you got to choose the comps that are most similarly updated and finished.
Like if your house has a pool and the comps have a pool, then you don't get
extra
because you're all on the same playing field.
The second part of that was, how do you make adjustments for a fab kitchen or a pool? Y'all, it's not worth as much as you think.
Right.
If you go ask an appraiser in your market, what is the standard pool adjustment, they might tell you it's 5,000, they might tell you it's 15, and they might say it's between 5 and 15 depending on how nice the pool is.
Right.
Just
and
a hole in
price
the ground,
range of the
5.
Home,
right. So
it all depends on.
But you don't. But I sorry, seller that had the super fancy patio edition for $25,000. You don't get every penny of that back.
No, you might get 10,
maybe
10 to 12.
But what if all the other houses had a patio?
Right. Then
that's
get nothing.
The thing. You get nothing.
Yeah.
All right. What to do when house is on a specific busy street? You're going to have to deduct down.
You are.
or try to find something else that's sold like that.
I just had someone that their house has expired 3 times with 3 agents, and I ran comps, and it appears to be priced well looking at the comps.
Right.
But the comps are not on the busy street, so they were not making an adjustment.
You got to adjust it down. You should be getting it at a discount if it has a detriment.
I did a search on just the street name.
Yeah.
In the last 2 years.
Right.
I know that's far back, but I wanted to see.
Did something sell?
Yeah, there were several.
Well, good.
And they were about $13 a square foot less.
But see, look, data.
And it was pretty strict.
Yeah.
Like, so I told her that, and it was helpful.
It was very strict, and you're like, that's what we got to do.
Yeah.
Okay. This question was, how do we pull data? We've covered that. What do you look at to find comparables? We've done that. What if the houses aren't in a cookie cutter neighborhood? We've done that.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all, cookie cutters are easy.
Easy peasy.
Sometimes you can find the same floor plan.
Exactly.
And the last and final question. Yeah. WTF is an accurate CMA in this market?
We don't know. We don't know.
I don't know. But what we've told you today is what we normally do.
Mm-hmm.
And you just have to take into account whatever kind of market you're in. Mm-hmm. Up, down, seller, buyer. Then you make adjustments. And you need to have that CMA ready for your buyer to look at and then tell them, in this hot market, maybe you don't get to use this for anything other than peace of mind if you get it for this. Mm-hmm. And then you decide what it's worth to you over this.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Any other final thoughts?
That's it.
I hope that was helpful. I know we kind of sped it up at the end. Are you ready for a toast?
Yep.
Okay, delightful. This toast is from Lindsay Carson in Northwest Georgia.
Okay.
She is toasting to Stephanie Wright. That is her new mentee. She's a first-time mentor. So I guess Lindsay is a first-time mentor. I've been in real estate for 5 years, and she just got licensed a week ago. This was a few weeks ago. I'm looking forward to learning alongside of her and making the Hustle Humbly podcast part of her journey in her first year of real estate.
That's awesome.
That's so fun. So
I love that we're becoming part of like new agent training.
I know that's the goal, right?
Yeah.
That's the dream.
Yeah.
So cheers to Stephanie from Lindsay. That's amazing. I hope y'all's partnership is working out well and you know, everyone's learning. Everyone's learning.
Still thriving.
Teachers and students.
Perfect.
Okay, goodbye, y'all.
Bye. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Hustle Humbly podcast. Let us know who we should toast to for the next episode.
Be sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Hustle Humbly Podcast. If you have an episode, topic, or question, please email us at hustlehumblypodcast@gmail.com.
Be sure to subscribe to the podcast and leave a review. See you next week. Bye.
This is the good life.